By early 1945, the Allied armies were relentlessly pushing into the heart of Nazi Germany. The final, formidable natural barrier standing in their way was the mighty Rhine River. Across its wide, fast-flowing waters lay the industrial Ruhr Valley, a vital prize, and the remnants of the Wehrmacht, dug in and determined to make a final stand. To breach this last great obstacle, a monumental operation was conceived, one that would combine a massive ground assault with an unprecedented airborne drop designed to secure vital footholds on the eastern bank. This was Operation Varsity, the largest single-day airborne drop in the history of warfare, a daring daylight gamble that aimed to shatter German defences and accelerate the Allied advance into the Third Reich. Operation Varsity was an integral part of Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery's larger plan, Operation Plunder, which sought to cross the Rhine near Wesel. While ground forces would execute a frontal assault, the airborne element was crucial. Its mission, to land deep behind enemy lines, disrupt German command and control, neutralize artillery positions, seize key objectives like bridges and vital road junctions, and ultimately link up with the advancing ground troops, establishing a secure bridgehead on the eastern bank. This audacious strategy aimed to create a pincer movement, overwhelming the German defenders who were already reeling from relentless pressure. The stakes were incredibly high. Failure could mean catastrophic losses and a significant delay in the war's end. The intricate planning behind Operation Varsity was a testament to inter-Allied cooperation. The 17th U.S. Airborne Division and the British 6th Airborne Division, two of the most experienced airborne formations, were chosen for the task. Unlike previous, more dispersed airborne operations, Varsity called for a concentrated drop zone, reducing the risk of units being scattered and allowing for rapid consolidation. The scale was staggering. Over 16,000 paratroopers and glidermen were to be deployed, carried by more than 2,000 transport aircraft, primarily C-47s and C-46s, and accompanied by 1,300 gliders. This massive airborne armada was to be supported by an overwhelming air power umbrella of over 6,000 fighter and bomber aircraft, tasked with suppressing enemy anti-aircraft fire and softening up German defences ahead of the drop. Every detail, from flight paths to landing zones, from equipment loads to rendezvous points, was meticulously rehearsed and coordinated. What made Varsity truly unique was its daylight execution and its close proximity to the ground crossing. Previous major airborne operations, like Normandy and Market Garden, had largely occurred under the cover of darkness. Varsity, however, was designed for maximum visual impact and precision. Commanders gambled that the sheer volume of aircraft and the concentrated nature of the drop, coupled with a crushing pre-assault bombardment, would overwhelm German air defences, allowing the paratroopers to land accurately and immediately engage their targets. This daylight timing also facilitated unprecedented close air support, with fighter bombers continuously patrolling the skies, ready to strike German resistance on demand. The airborne forces would land within sight and sound of the main ground assault, ensuring a rapid link-up and mutual support, a lesson learned from the sometimes isolated experiences of earlier airborne campaigns. On March 24, 1945, at approximately 10:12 a.m., the skies over the Rhine erupted with the roar of engines. Wave after wave of transport planes and gliders descended, a vast, metallic swarm filling the horizon. Thousands of paratroopers, weighted down with equipment, leaped into the cold morning air, their parachutes blossoming like white flowers against the backdrop of smoke and flame. Simultaneously, hundreds of gliders, silent and ominous, swooped down, disgorging troops and heavy equipment directly onto their objectives. Despite intense German anti-aircraft fire, which exacted a heavy toll on some formations, the sheer audacity and scale of the attack achieved its desired effect. The paratroopers of the 17th U.S. Airborne swiftly seized high ground and disrupted communications, while the British 6th Airborne secured crucial bridges and fought through enemy strongpoints. The ground beneath them became a furious battlefield almost instantly. The German defenders, though surprised, were not entirely unprepared. Flak batteries, hidden and well camouflaged, unleashed a deadly barrage, particularly targeting the vulnerable gliders. Riflemen and machine gunners engaged the descending paratroopers, turning the landing zones into kill zones. Companies and battalions found themselves in brutal close-quarters combat immediately upon touching down. Casualties were significant, with hundreds of Allied paratroopers killed, wounded, or captured within the first hours. However, the meticulous planning, the overwhelming numerical superiority, and the determination of the airborne troops proved decisive. Commanders on the ground quickly organized their men, pushed through the initial resistance, and began securing their objectives with remarkable speed. By the end of the day, Operation Varsity had achieved its primary objectives. Crucial bridgeheads east of the Rhine were secured. Key roads, villages, and strategic high ground were in Allied hands. The link-up with the advancing ground forces of Operation Plunder occurred within hours, far sooner than anticipated. The airborne assault had effectively created a substantial breach in the German defensive lines, sowing confusion and disarray among the enemy's ranks. It demonstrated that even in the twilight of the war, large-scale airborne operations remained a potent and decisive tactical tool when employed with sufficient force and precision. Varsity utterly demoralized the German High Command, signaling the inevitable collapse of their Western Front. Operation Varsity stands as a monumental testament to Allied courage, planning, and overwhelming military might. It was not without its costs, but its success was undeniable. It shattered the last significant natural barrier to the Allied advance, clearing the path into the heartland of Nazi Germany and hastening the end of the war in Europe. The daring daylight assault across the Rhine remains the largest single-day airborne operation in history, a powerful symbol of the combined arms tactics that ultimately led to victory. The thousands of paratroopers and gliddermen who descended from the sky on that fateful day forged a crucial link in the chain of events that brought the Third Reich to its knees. Their bravery and sacrifice ensured that the Allied armies would not be stopped, accelerating the final thrust towards Berlin and peace.